Are you like a formal slate or a grouping?
Yes.
I mean, how formal is this relationship, and why did it form?
Okay, well, great question. So I decided to run for Unit 5 school board. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. Had a week to get all the signatures. And I decided to run because I knew that I was looking at who was running and I was aware of the context of the situation. And basically, I decided to run. I had not known anybody who had run personally, but it all really started when Mr. Worth and Mr. Frank decided to challenge my petition for candidacy and also, respectively, Alex Williams. And I was visiting home in Easton. It was the day, Easton, Pennsylvania, where I'm from. I was visiting family, and on the way out, we got this call that there was a challenge, and my wife and I are trying to focus on driving, and we're getting this unpleasant phone call that I'm getting served papers by the police, and I'm like, very much caught off guard by it, and it really upset me. Kind of, my one trip home during the year got upset by that, but I was determined to show up at that hearing and really make sure it was very clear that I was not just going to get tossed off the ballot. And so I reached out to Alex Williams. I said, hey, Alex, I'm going to make a lot of phone calls, see what kind of attorney we can get to represent me, and I'll see what resources are available to you. And I'm saying this for the record because there's been a lot of misinformation out there. There have been candidates that have openly accused the teachers union of paying us and whatnot. And I'm here to say that the story is actually quite simple. And I believe that the public deserves to know this, and it's important. So I called Alex. I said I'm going to make some calls. I called a couple attorneys that I knew in our area, and none of them were willing to take it because it was an election hearing, and I said, okay. So then I called a couple other friends. They connected me with Springfield, and basically there was an elections attorney that works for the state of Illinois, called me up the day before the hearing and said, hey, Mark, I'm going to represent you and Alex. There's no charge because the state provides this service for first-time candidates. So we did not pay a dime. To my record, there is no paper trail to support the fact that teachers union paid for those attorneys.
There was a guy sitting in your chair 2 days ago who said that the teachers union paid for that attorney.
And that's because he assumed that. And I'm not going to attack him, but I will say, look, if you're going to make a very bold claim and say that, make sure that you know that for a fact. And I believe in data. I believe in actual information. So if you have the paper trail to prove that, please tell me, because I would like to know that so I can basically know that for my own good. But to my knowledge and Alex Williams' knowledge, that is the truth. And so basically that's how I formed that bond with Alex. And we got through the hearing. I was very pleased to see that, of the attorney's argument, he had a 3-prong argument, and the Elections Commission only had to listen to the first of 3 arguments to get to the point where they were saying that the fact that Mr. Worth and Mr. Frank respectfully did not include their addresses on the petition challenges was alone to toss out the challenge. So moving forward, that's how I established that bond with Alex, and I do not mean this sarcastically. I do mean this honestly. I do thank Mr. Worth and Mr. Frank for doing that, because that is how Alex and I really bonded. And so I'm not saying that sarcastically because it can be seen as sarcastic. I mean that. And so I do thank them for that opportunity. And when it comes to Roser and Pyle, I was encouraged to reach out to all school board members, and I started with the ones that were running for re-election. And Alex, Amy, and I and Kelly sat down at the coffee house. I think it was MLK Day, and we just were talking about the referendum. And so we were just basically saying, look, moving forward, we are not forming a slate. We are forming a very just a collaborative effort. So we're just basically sharing resources. We have individual campaigns. We have individual funding streams. Kelly and Amy are raising their own funds. They're managing their own campaigns. We are just merely supporting each other to make sure that the only 4 candidates that support the referendum and what is best for our students and our school district are elected. So we acknowledge that because we're the only 4, that we have this what appears to be a slate. But I promise the voters that we each are treating our campaigns separately. We are, the four of us are in a group text, and we chat and say, hey, how's it going? And, I'm very open about my campaign financing. I've raised $6,500 in the first month and a half. More than half of that is through 82 individual donations from 11 different states, from family and friends across the country. They believe in me. They believe that I'm a good person and honest, and I'm not trying to inflate my ego. Most people say I'm a very honest, down-to-earth person, but I also believe that voters should hear that. And then I did receive a large individual donation for $1,000 from someone who I've known who lives in Bloomington Normal, wonderful person. And then I did receive a $2,500 check from UFIA, and that was also greatly appreciated. So, and quite honestly, that check just came in a week ago, and I'm very proud to have that endorsement. Any union that is in our community is an asset. They are an asset to the overall well-being, the economic well-being of our middle-class residents. Without the unions, there's no collective bargaining, and that goes for the teachers. And it's very dismaying to see school board candidates who are openly anti-teachers union. They're very open about it. They were open about it at the Republican Forum. And all I have to ask is, what are you going to do when you're contractually obligated to negotiate and work with them? And if you have a contract that you don't abide in, last time I checked, you can get in some legal trouble. So I encourage us all to actually acknowledge the fact that the teachers union is not a bunch of cronies, but they are very good people. They want what's best for our students. They want what's best for our teachers. And I will look for the support also of all unions in town. And I think they are a very critical pillar in our community.